We got a beautiful 4-hour run, so I can't wait to have some fun. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number, and it is Eagles Eve, if you will. It feels like it's been 3,000 years since the last time I saw this football squad take the field, and I am hungry, okay? I am hungry for some football, and we got a big matchup in L.A. I can't wait. Here's the reality of the situation. The Super Bowl is not won in November, but the path can be lost. The outcome for Sunday night's game can be the difference in having home field advantage or not in the NFC. And I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of different scenarios throughout the last 10 years or so of home teams winning. But there are a million examples of teams that were the home team and someone had to go into their building to try and advance to the Super Bowl, and it didn't work because it's such an advantage to play at the Link. It's such an advantage to have all those fans supporting you, getting loud, getting obnoxious, and pouring the sweat and emotions into the action. It matters. Last year, the Niners beating a good Detroit team. In 22, the Eagles beating the Niners. In 2021, the Rams hosted San Fran. In 2019, the Niners beat Green Bay in Levi. The Seattle runs when Carolina went to the Super Bowl. The Falcons, who put up 44 against the Packers. I said I wouldn't bore you, but there's a few of them. The Eagles in 17 versus the Minnesota Vikings. All week long, I thought there was too much football to really focus on this. And I went with the mentality of, I'm going to play the ball as it lies. At the end of the year, if the Eagles are a 2 seed, so be it. I still have faith. That was sort of my mentality. But listening to these great airwaves, and listening to a lot of the conversations about this matchup, and listening to sort of, fans who felt differently and hosts who felt differently, I am now convinced that it is so damn important and the advantage is so real. And looking at common opponents and an NFC matchup and what this could mean for the standings, I am focused on that 1 seed more than ever. It's not just about letting the ball lay there and you got to hit it as it lies, if we're looking at a golf analogy. You have to go and take this number 1 seed from the Lions. And this game is so important to that happening. So here's my question. Are you focused on the number 1 seed? 215-592-9494. Is that where your head is at? Do you wake up every day thinking about this team potentially going to the Super Bowl and this matchup with the Rams being such an emphasis on that journey? Because it is. It is. Whether you want to admit it or not, this game in LA is going to be crazy big for if this team can catch the Lions and then even overstep them. But there could be a good portion of you out there that maybe don't care enough. Maybe you think, who cares? You can go on the road and win a game even if it's in Detroit because of the pressure that the Lions are going to have to deal with being the favorite and for a loser organization having to get over the hump and beat a well-oiled machine in Saquon Barkley and this offensive line. The Lions would have to get it done. They would have all the pressure to get it done, while the Eagles would look at it as somewhat of a darling going on the road in a hostile environment trying to win. It's not house money by any means, but you got to realize if the Lions just shredded through the regular season, putting up 50-plus points nonstop against a lot of these bad teams, looking like a juggernaut, there would be such a focus on them drilling the Eagles as well with a home game in the NFC Championship game. Maybe you think that the Eagles could handle that adversity well anyway, that environment. Maybe. But I know the advantage of it being in your own stadium. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes in 22 and in 2017. And I want to see all of us go bonkers, get drunk, scream, do everything in your power to give the Eagles more life when they have a chance to win one football game and advance to a Super Bowl appearance. I am focused on getting the number one seed. What say you? 215-592-9494. I want you guys to listen to Good Morning Football, who was discussing why the Eagles have a chance to make some noise when it comes to the Lions. Take a listen.
Do the Eagles now compete with the Lions as a top-tier team? It's tier talk, Peter, in November in the NFC.
They sure do, because they might have a defense that can stop that Lions offense. Okay. You know, we always talk about styles make fights. Like, the Eagles have a dominant defense. And not only do they have the Zach Bond, who we just mentioned, and the guys up front, they might have a guy that is a goon, a dude, and a defensive rookie of the year. Can we talk about Quinyon Mitchell?
Get into it.
Because Quinyon Mitchell has become a shutdown corner in this league. Take a look at this next-gen stats full screen that is going around and has been said a bit here. This is yesterday. Terry McLaurin versus Quinyon Mitchell. They were matched up 20 times. Do you know how many targets he got? 0. Receptions? 0. Receiving yards? 0. And it's not just Terry McLaurin. It's week after week after week. We're talking about a rookie out of the MAC.
This is really cool.
Who could be the dude that gets the Eagles back to the game.
Now, how about that? We got a defensive stud in Quinyon Mitchell that is now hitting the national waves, and part of the equation on why media members and analysts think the Eagles have a real chance here. Let's be honest, that wasn't the way we would have written it up when the season began. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, and the O-line. It was always supposed to be about the high-flying offense, and now part of the reasons why there's so much potential success down the road here is because they have the defense and the young rookie stud to help stop a Ben Johnson-led offense. It's just amazing that we are here. But that's just one example. Now let's listen to Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen Show go into detail on why he believes the Eagles could take a crack at this thing.
The Eagles' defense is really cooking, and I'm starting with them first because that's part of the reason why we were talking about a 2-2 team not being all of that. Because Saquon was doing Saquon things in their 2-2 start, and so was Jalen Hurts. That defense was not doing what we've seen over the last few weeks. Jalen Carter, G-A-M.
Grown. Beast.
Ass man. And Zach Bond, who leaped on the scene in week 1 in Brazil by coming to the Eagles and going all over the lot. He had 14 combined tackles last night. Nakobe Dean, kid from Georgia. Eagles fans have been waiting to see what he can do. Picked off Trevor Lawrence to stick aside a Jaguar threat a couple of weeks ago. I do have to, though, talk about the kids in the secondary. That Cooper DeJean has really helped solidify things. But there is a star in the making, and I believe the defensive rookie of the year resides in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This kid, Quinyon Mitchell. But there are games when the offense is not clicking and Saquon saves the day.
It's pretty remarkable to sit here and listen to the praise of the defense. Not that I haven't seen what they're seeing. Of course, it's incredible how Vic Fangio has them on this crazy surge. But it's just not what I would have anticipated on November 23rd doing a weekend radio show, watching this team at 8-2. I thought it would be about our belief in the pass game. Our belief in Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts. Not that there's no belief in that unit, But as you heard Rich Eisen say, the running back is what saves you sometimes, and it's more about the run game than even the passing game. It's the defense in the run game. What a world we live in. But there's so much truth to what's being said here. The Eagles have a chance, when you get it back to what we're kind of laying out here, they have a chance based off of their defense and their run game to take over the number 1 seed. And it starts tomorrow. It starts on Sunday Night Football against a Rams team who have put together a bunch of wins, and they're sort of that little group that a lot of people are running with right now is don't let them get hot. Don't let Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford figure things out. Don't let some of their receivers get going. So if you're able to go on the road, fly to the West Coast, and beat up this team that's starting to feel themselves and to get some life, to put you in the conversation of taking that number 1 spot from the Lions, it's so important. Are you focused on getting the number 1 seed, knowing the history of hosting the NFC title game? Because I am. I demand it. I do. I demand it. I want that to be the focus. I want that to be where their mind shifts to. I want that to be the goal. And if they come up short, so be it. I'll adjust accordingly. I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't get it, but I do want that mentality. I want them to play with that edge. I want them to play with that fight. I want them to reach that ultimate goal because it does set you up for significantly more success. I want the number 1 seed. Are you focused on it? 215-592-9494. That's where we begin this afternoon show. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Dave in Limerick. What's up, Dave? You're on WIP.
Hey, great show.
Thank you.
The offense, once they get their act together, and I don't understand why they're not, like they prepare for each of these games, right? They must look good in practice. They must look good, but then they come out and they're flat. And honestly, I'm more excited about watching the defense these days because the offense is so frustrating in the first half. But once they get their act together, and again, explain to me why they're coming out flat because I don't understand. They have a great offense. They have a Kellen Moore, and I get it takes some time to click. But once they get up 7-10 points in a game, once they come out and that offense is great, that defense is going to look even so much more better because they're going to be bringing it. They're going to have to pass, and they're going to feed into the defense's strengths.
Yeah, listen, Dave, I wish I had the answer for you because I'm right there with you. When I watch this offense sometimes, especially in the first quarter where they're going 3 and out and you think that's your most scripted plays that you practice throughout the week, you'd think there'd be some version of success with it, but I don't really know. And I've changed my mentality and they kind of sucked me in, which is maybe a little scary, but I'm at the point now where I'm going to allow the 4 quarters to play out because I've seen that over the 4 quarters, they eventually get to where I need them to. And I'm with you. I wish it happened earlier. It's not happening earlier, but they are getting the result we're looking for consistently with their DNA that I think is sustainable. So I'm trying to cool the Jets on the early frustration and recognize the 4 quarters of play is getting me the result that I demand by the end, if that makes sense.
It does, but once that offense does come out strong in the first quarter,
yep.
It's going to be beautiful. And you know what? Yeah, the Rams, I'm not worried about them at all. They got good receivers. I'm so excited to watch our DBs, our young guys, match up against them.
Absolutely. Dave, last question for you before I let you go. In regards to the number 1 seed, do you have this crazy obsession that I am starting to get for the number 1 seed, or are you just kind of letting it play out and however it ends, you'll feel good about them regardless?
No, I think they get it and they're going to the Super Bowl.
I agree.
And I want them to get it more than anything.
Yeah,
and they can get it.
Yeah,
because they are the best team. team, honestly.
All right, Dave, thank you, man. I appreciate your phone call, and I appreciate your opinion there. I'm with you. That's why I'm starting to get obsessed with it. And I hate using that word because I'm realizing how much time I am spending just thinking about the idea of an NFC game being here, an NFC championship game, being here. But if they can find a way to make that happen, I agree. I think this is inevitable that it is a Super Bowl run. It is a Super Bowl appearance. And if they have to go on the road, it can be a Super Bowl appearance. Hear the difference? If they have to go on the road, it can be a Super Bowl appearance. If they host it, it's a Super Bowl appearance. That's how much confidence I have in what it's like to be a road team coming to this town. It's demoralizing. I mean, it deflates you. It's so intense. It's so harsh. It's going to be overwhelming. And I need that. I need to see something equivalent to what we did against the Vikings in 2017. I want to see this team explode and do what they did against the Niners in an NFC Championship game just a little bit ago. Granted, you took out that quarterback, but you took out that quarterback, I think, because you played with that fire, because you played with that piss and vinegar, if you will. That's right. You heard me. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Dave in South Philly. What's up, Dave?
Yo, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, I just want to know where's all the people talking about Nick Sirianni now that we're winning? We're on a little bit of a win streak. You hear everything when we're losing. I just want to know, where are they all at?
Well, I think that's how this works. When you lose, you get ripped. When you win, you don't get ripped.
But where's the credit for Sirianni when we're winning?
Well, there is credit, but you got to realize that the organization has removed him from all of the duties, so it makes it a little bit more up in the air on everything. He has the team playing well. Since the bye week, they haven't lost a game. They've definitely kept their head on straight when it could have spiraled, but it is not the cleanest operation for us fans because the organization has stripped him power every year since getting here, so there's some confusion on exactly every detail he does. Okay, good talk, Dave. I guess you didn't like my answer.
Man, that was... Come on, Dave.
Yeah, come on, Dave. You're going to come in here and talk that smack, say some words you can't say, and then you're not going to have any conversation
I was
with me.
about to say, if I got to smack the dump button, at least make it worth it.
Make it worth it. That's all. It's the number one rule. Actually, the number one rule is
just don't do it.
Don't make me use it.
Please don't.
Unbelievable. I like Nick. Now, kind of, I think. They're winning. That's how I'll describe it. I'm a simple man. You win, I shut up about it. I'm not the biggest fan in the world. All right, I say I like Nick. I'm kind of being tongue-in-cheek. We're winning football games. I don't understand Nick. I don't get it, but he wins. So I zip my mouth when they win. This season could have spiraled, and he kept this team on track. I give him credit for that. But I'm not going to ignore the details that the franchise has made some decisions to remove certain things on his plate because he failed to do it for many years. But that's not today. That's not today. Today is about a great team. Today is about a team that has a chance to make a Super Bowl run. Today is a day where I'm trying to figure out if this fan base is truly focused on getting the number one seed and having that home field advantage for a trip to the Super Bowl, or if there is more just a feel of there's a lot of football left. There's plenty of games to be played. We'll see what happens, and we'll worry about it when we get towards the back end of the season. Because who knows, maybe the Lions drop a game that you don't expect them to. Maybe the Lions have a couple rough games in a row where they drop 2 in a row that nobody expected. Things happen all the time that can open up the door outside of just expecting the Lions to run the table and not accidentally have a hiccup. Same applies to the Eagles, though. The Eagles could have a hiccup, and then that kind of make things different as well. Who knows? That's sort of what I'm saying here is there's so much time for so much to happen. Maybe now isn't the time to put so much stress and so much energy for the 1 seed, but the reason why it's important is because of the opponent. Because of the common opponent, because of needing to win this game and knowing where the Lions are with the Rams as well. This matters. This is a big, beefy one in regards to, are you going to be able to catch the Lions or not? 215-592-9494. Are you focused on getting the number 1 seed? Because that's all I can think about. The Falcons, when they went on their Super Bowl run at home against the Green Bay team, a 44 spot. Seattle, all their magnificent runs, and you had Russell Wilson and that defense getting to play in front of that stadium with those fans, how loud it gets, the intensity, that changed the dynamic of a few of those postseason games massively. The Rams winning the Super Bowl in 21. You look through the list, the Niners have been there so much. It actually makes me puke thinking about how much the 49ers have been in these conversations here, looking at the history of NFC title games as of late. But you can see a common trend. When they're not playing in Levi Stadium, it doesn't go their way. They're struggling to make it to the final dance. It's not impossible. Tampa Bay was able to do it. Tampa Bay had Tom Brady. That's a big difference. Tom Brady's a different specimen, okay? So he's the outlier. Outside of that, history tells you everything you need to know. It's time to put a major emphasis on tomorrow's game because landing the number 1 seed could be the difference in where this season ends or not. And I'm curious if you are putting that level of emotion and that level of focus on this game, or is it just a game in the schedule and you're going to allow this season to play out accordingly, and then you'll react to where the standings are as there's 1 or 2 games left in the year. Hey, this team needs to lose, you need to win. And there's a few games left. Now let's start playing that dance around game to see what happens if this team does that, if that team does this, then we can see where the puzzle pieces align. I normally subscribe to that way of thinking. Once in a while, though, there are some random little scenarios that pop up that change my mindset. And this is one of them. It's a big smack in the face to realize what playing at the Link means compared to going to Detroit. And it all starts tomorrow. You can't let this slip. This can't be a hiccup. This can't be a game where you allow Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford to carve you up. It'll be unacceptable. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number. Would really love to hear from you. Some open lines. We'll talk Sixers. We got some Phillies offseason to get into as well. So there is so much on the table. Can't wait. We're just getting started. Coming up next, a very important player out, which is, of course, Devontae Smith. What does that mean for this team? I'll tell you all about it. It's Brodes, and it's 94 WIP.